Morning, guys. Chocolate, or plain old hot chocolate as we call it, been around for a couple of 100 years. It's one of the favorite drinks of the old colonies and stuff like that. And it's been my favorite cold weather drink since I was a kid. But there's different kinds of chocolate, there's different ways to make it, and there's different things to do. Now, for example, what you just saw was I heated up some water and then I put it onto the powdered chocolate. That's like Nestle's chocolate, hot chocolate like you buy at the store. I don't like to bring the water to a hard boil. When it's hot and you got tiny bubbles coming up, that's close enough. Too hot and it kind of scorches it a little bit to me. But hot chocolate's already got the sugar, the stuff you need to get you going in the morning, get you rolling up and heat up your core temperature, which is necessary on cold mornings like this. I know a lot of people drink coffee. Most people drink coffee. And I just never got into coffee. I will drink it on occasion. But I'm not like my dad who could drink 3 pots back to back. Just no, that ain't me. I prefer just to drink hot chocolate on cold morning. Hot tea works as well. But it's what we're carrying with us as that morning thing. Now, most people are going to carry coffee, instant coffee or something like that, or one of those presses and things like that. And it gets to be where you're carrying a lot of accessories for your drink. Instead of being just like hot chocolate, it's water in the package. That's it. It's water and coffee and the creamer and the sugar, and I like this in it and I like that. You see what I mean? It ends up where you're toting a whole lot more than you need to. Don't be in a hurry to grab one of these hot mugs and take a swig either, because as you know, it'll burn your mouth pretty quick. You got to wait for it to kind of equalize out where the temperature drops down and it's at a drinkable level, but all the heat hadn't gone into the cup, so the cup's hot but the drink's cold. There's certain things like pewter is the worst for that. Back in my rendezvous days, we'd be drinking coffee and stuff like that out of pewter mugs, and it would just burn your mouth, and all the heat would come out of the drink. So about the time the cup was where you could tolerate it to drink out of it, the liquid was cold because it sucked all the heat out of the liquid, which made for, yeah, interesting. But I said there's more than one kind of chocolate. If you go look in the area of the store that caters toward people from Central South America, Mexico, stuff like that, there's a type of hot chocolate made there. I think it's called Muello, and it's a solid cake chocolate. Now that boiled chocolate, and we used it in living history. We would take a fine little nutmeg grater and we'd grate it up into water and we'd actually boil it, bring it to a rolling boil, and then let it sit off and cool off. And then we'd add a little palm full of brown sugar to it. That was very good, and there's a lot of caffeine in that, and it would boost you up pretty quickly. But chocolate's been around since at least the 1700s as a drink of choice. Of course, people from Europe drank tea, and so us Americans, we had to rebel and drink coffee and chocolate. And it's not a bad choice. I mean, I like it for a carry in the pack, pick me up. It gives me sugar, it gives me a little caffeine, it gives me a warm up to warm up my core temperature. And usually in the winter, what I'm carrying in the haversack is those sachets of hot chocolate. Now, coffee is a little bitty thing the size of your pinky, a little sachet, instant coffee is. And that's a good alternative for bulk. The advantage to this is it's already got the sugar and all in it, so I don't have to carry that extra. It's all mixed in as one component. Hot tea can be good too. I like English breakfast tea. I like Earl Grey. My favorite, of course, is Darjeeling, but good luck finding it. I have to go to a tea store to find Darjeeling. But it, with a little bit of sugar in it, is real good. Now, of course, I'm Southern. We drink sweet tea. So I have more than once made sun tea on a camp out as a beverage, and I showed that in a video I think over a year ago, where I took a quart Ziploc bag and I would put the filtered water into it, put the tea bag in it, zip it up, and then clamp the top of it with 2 sticks real tight, whipped together, and hang it up in the sun. And after 6 or 7 hours, you know, time for dinner, you had sun tea ready to go. Beverages is something we kind of overlook a lot of times when we're going out woodscrafting. During the times of the year when we have blackberries, or they're really here in the south dewberries, but blackberries, those make a great drink. I just take and I don't have to heat that up. I'd take my canteen cup and I'd put 4 or 5 berries in the bottom, take a stick that I would clean and radius it so I didn't get any giblets in my stuff, and I'd sit there and crush the berries in the bottom corner of the canteen cup until they were just a pulp, and I'd add cold water to it and stir it up, and it was a really good sweet drink. Pine tea, of course, is something that we call the woodsman's tea. It's something that's very common you see in write-ups and literature, because it was something that gave you vitamin C, it perked you up, and it warmed up your core. You didn't have to tote nothing. You just pulled the needles off a pine tree and made yourself some tea. There's also sassafras here in the south that we make tea out of. There's numerous native plants that can be turned into teas or some sort of beverage. But beverages is normally the thing that is left out. You know, we talk about harvesting wild game, and I'm going to fish, or I'm going to hunt, and I'm going to get, you know, the squirrel, the rabbit, the coon, the possum, and all like that. But what are you drinking? Plain water? It's a worthy place of research, and I have found many times on these what we used to call a survival camp out, where you had to shoot it or catch it for food for 3 or 4 days. We were all in a group working together, and that usually everybody planned, and they brought seasonings and stuff to spice up the wild game or the fish, and they didn't bring a thing to drink but water. Well, I'm here to tell you, water gets boring after a couple of days. And so me being able to make pine tea or sassafras tea or a berry drink was a big advantage. There's lots of things, if you just look and do the research, that can be used for that type of endeavor. And it's one of those useful skills. Some of them can be medicinal. For example, if I make a tea from the leaves of brambles, dewberry, blackberry bushes, that will calm an upset stomach and a digestive system. So I'll take 2 or 3 teas and make like half a cup of this and steep it like tea. Coffee warm water, mash the leaves up in the bottom, macerate them real good like you do the berry, and then put the water into it. Sipping on that will settle an upset stomach. Usually, for me personally, it works just about as good as Pepto-Bismol does. And something that occurs like everywhere else in nature, if you've got a case of the trots or the runs or diarrhea, it'll help while you're out there till you can get back and get to actual, you know, medical supplies. Oh man. Spices and things like that we've used. Talking about add-ons. One of the things that I found whenever we're doing cooking classes, I'm teaching people how to cook on the fire and etc., is what am I going to cook and what's it going to taste like? Sorry for the smoke, guys. And it's, well, try it at home first. Get you a place out in the backyard, set you up that cooking area or whatever. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be on a Coleman stove. It can be on the stove at the house. To practice cooking various dishes or whatever. Now, to learn spice, here's something that my grandfather taught me that I found very valuable. To learn spice, you've got to taste how the spice changes a dish. Okay? And so what we did was we took Spam and we cut it so that it lengthways we're cutting wedges like a loaf of bread. And we'd take one of those and we'd throw it in a skillet and we'd heat it up and fry it just a little bit, and then we would add a spice. This is what black pepper does to it. This is what garlic does to it. This is what paprika does. And each one of these gave us an opportunity to try it out and see what we liked and what we didn't, and how to enhance it a little bit. Does it make it any better? I found I don't like that much paprika, and I sure don't like curry that much, but it was something to try and find out. And it did teach me the various flavors and how I could augment. Like lemon pepper. I really like lemon pepper on fish and certain things like that. Old Bay, I like to put on to certain wild game species. You learn the spices, you know, because I want the meat that I'm cooking to taste the same every time, so I can see how the spice changes it. So I'm not just trying curry chicken and think, well, heck, curry chicken would be good on pork, wouldn't it? Do the same spice on pork. Might not work the same way. So I want the same type of taste. So I just took, Granddad just took Spam and took one of the cans and cut it in like 8 or 9 small pieces, and we'd put a piece, heat it up, you know, and then he would add the various things, and I learned what I liked and what I didn't like. That way when we were in the field and we were cooking fish, and he'd say, okay, you want to try it with this, this, or this, I had a basis, an idea of what each one was going to taste like, and therefore which way to go with it. Everybody's different, but I was very lucky to be around a lot of really good cooks out in the woods. Well, that's enough of a ramble for today. Sorry it isn't an in-depth video, guys, but I just wanted to share a little bit of things with you. I was talking to a young man. This coming weekend will be the Boy Scout rendezvous down here called Wood Smoke. And for many years I was part of that. Well, not many years, but for several years, I'll say, I was part of that troop that put on. And for those that don't know, it's a rendezvous living history camp out for the Boy Scouts, where they come out and we dress in historic correct clothing and compete with skills and things like that, like flint and steel fire, throwing a tomahawk, cutting with a crosscut saw, things like that, cooking, all kinds of skills. And it was something that was a lot of fun and very rewarding, was very well liked by the kids. And I got to thinking about that because one of the young men came in getting some supplies at where I work, and we got to talking about it. One of the things he said was, what to drink? You know, what do we take to drink? What do you drink that's historically accurate? I said, hot chocolate. He couldn't believe that such a modern thing was still historically correct from that far back. Yes, sir, it is. And so as a moment of nostalgia, I decided to do this video. Okay guys, I'm going to have to get going to work here in a minute. Thank you very much for supporting my channel, and thank you for coming along this morning. Till next time, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.